We are ready.
Okay, so today we're going to be doing choral readings of poems that I brought in. But I wanted to use this lesson as kind of an introduction to poetry, and I want you to turn to a neighbor and just discuss what is a poem. What's a poem? Like just in general terms. So just turn to whoever's sitting next to you, and I'll check back in 2 minutes.
Music can be instruction. Oh, you mean as opposed to like written language?
No,
There's like whole like standing on the subway platform, Elizabeth, but it's prose poetry. So that it's written like structure. Yes. Yeah. I know what you said. I know what you said.
Are we ready for me? All right, so what did you guys come up with? What did you come up with? What's a poem? Who has a definition for a poem? Maybe it'll be helpful thinking of a poem versus a book that you've read, right? Like a fiction piece or an article, a journal article, right? How is it different? Yeah.
An artistic statement using words.
Okay, an artistic statement using words, okay.
And different structures that poems use.
Okay.
I felt that it was a work that's very like dense, very linguistically dense. Like every word is important, and it usually is very strong emphasis on imagery. You get like powerful language.
Yeah. There's writers who write about poetry say that if you can take out a word from a poem and it's still the same poem, it's not a poem. Like every word has to be there for an exact meaning. That's not necessarily the case. I heard over here some people were arguing about what a poem is. I mean, it seemed like there were some different views going on.
We were disagreeing.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we weren't disagreeing. We were coming to realizations. Well, our first definition was
Free writing.
Free writing. So like poetry that's divorced, or words in form that are divorced from structure. And then I was saying, but there's some prose poetry novels that are sentences that are kind of poems that maybe don't make sense. And then we were like, what?
Yeah, so I mean, poems can be just as long as a novel, or
That's structure. That was the point. We were talking about structure.
right, yeah. Anything else? Anyone else had? Generally, I would say though that they are shorter, right? Somewhat, at least the ones that I have today. Okay, we're going to be looking at the first poem that I'm giving you, the one that has like colors on the title. I don't know why it has colors on the title. It just happened. It's called Bully by Martin Espada. And Martin Espada was he actually, he's so alive, a Brooklynite from Puerto Rico, and he used to be a tenant lawyer. And he writes a lot about urban dwellings and urban problems. And we're going to read aloud. I'm going to need a volunteer. But while we're reading aloud, I want everyone to think about how does the poem discuss youth? mission in reading this poem is, how does the poem discuss youth? We're going to be reading it aloud first, and then I want some feedback from everybody how Espada does that. Okay, so who wants to read?
Bully by Martín Espada. In the school auditorium, the Theodore Roosevelt statue is nostalgic. For the Spanish-American War, each fist lonely for a saber, or the reins of anguish-eyed horses, or a podium to clatter with speeches, glorying in the malaria of conquest. But now the Roosevelt School is pronounced Hernandez. Puerto Rico has invaded Roosevelt, with its army of Spanish-singing children in the hallways, brown children devouring the stockpiles of the cafeteria, children painting Taino ancestors that leap naked across murals. Roosevelt is surrounded by all the faces he ever shoved in eugenic spite and cursed as mongrels, skin of one race, hair and cheekbones of another. Once Marines tramped from the newsreel of his imagination, now children plot to spray graffiti in parrot brilliant colors across the Victorian mustache and monocle.
Okay. So, how does this poem discuss you? How are the school children represented here? Yeah.
Sort of revengeful, but not intentionally doing so.
Okay, revengeful. What are they revengeful about?
Well, like everything, I guess, that Roosevelt did to them with the Spanish-American War, their ancestors. So like they're, defacing his statue and putting graffiti all over things and devouring all the cafeteria food.
Yeah.
He's very out to get.
Yeah. I mean, I know we have our history people here. What's Roosevelt famous for doing, history people?
Rough Riders.
Rough Riders, okay. Elaborate, please.
During the Spanish-American War, he, I think it was Spanish, he had his set of Rough Riders and they went over through Mexico. Well, not, he brought them, they had like a conquest pretty much. And that's how he became prominent in the early 1900s because of what his Rough Riders did. And that put him on like the spotlight and helped him become president.
Yeah, very militant, very aggressive president. And he was also one of the famous figures of the Spanish-American War, which invaded islands in the Caribbean and I don't know, history people.
Cuba.
Cuba.
Cuba, we annexed the Philippines soon thereafter. Anything that was a Spanish colony was Spanish.
Mm-hmm. Right, so he is kind of the imperial military kind of might and power, used to be, right, in the right around the turn of the century. And now these children, as you said, are kind of getting revenge back at him, right? And what are the ways that they're getting revenge? Yeah.
Pronouncing the school Hernandez instead of Roosevelt.
Right, so now Roosevelt has become Hernandez. He's kind of been taken over by the Latino kids in the community. Anything else?
That's why the brown children are devouring the stockpile of the cafeteria.
They're spray painting a statue.
In parrot's brilliant colors, which I love. Yeah.
I didn't really feel like the language was necessarily negative. Like when I thought of it, I thought like exuberant, like children like very lively. Like it may be if you're from the perspective of a Roosevelt or someone that supports his point of view, then it's negative. But I don't think overall like the action of the children was negative or the tone that the author was trying to say.
Yeah. Who seems to be speaking in this poem? Who's saying this? Or who does the speaker kind of side with, I guess?
Kids.
The kids, right? I think it's the kids. I mean, they are seeking revenge, but I don't know if it's a revenge that they are aware of, right? I think it's just kind of ironic that this is happening. Yeah. Anything else?
Yeah, I thought about revenge, but it seemed like it was just a byproduct. I was really just thinking they're just wild.
if we were to read this aloud, which we just did, but I mean, what lines stand out to you? Like, what would you put emphasis on? What sticks out? Yeah.
Puerto Rico has invaded Roosevelt is a way of like twisting the fact that Rose invaded Puerto Rico during the whole Spanish Civil War, and now is like twisting the tables, turning the tables to Puerto Rico, invading Roosevelt.
Yeah, and I think that twisting tables is also in the stanzas in the poem. That first stanza is very like elaborate language. You know, you have anguish-eyed horses and malaria of conquest. It sounds very like Western European, like I don't want to say Shakespeare because it's not Shakespeare, but it's very elaborate. But then you have but now, and there's immediately that kind of like shift, right? There's immediately like a change. But now the Roosevelt School is pronounced Hernandez, right? And you almost kind of like feel that kind of like ironic like sarcasm there, especially if you do it with like an accent, kind of Hernandez. And then I think there's another tonal shift down in the bottom too. I don't know exactly where I would put it, but there's like, it goes back to series. It goes back to this is, yeah.
That's funny. The last part I thought was kind of funny because I think it was saying like once Marines transform the newsreel of his imagination, and now children plot to spray graffiti. Like it's almost like, yeah, we got our revenge, but we're not like malicious.
Mm-hmm.
We're just kids being kids, just trying to.
Yeah. What other lines would you emphasize, or what other lines stick out to you? Yeah.
A line about discussing the children as an army.
Okay. It's Army of Spanish-speaking children.
Right, the history person.
All right. What else? Any other lines? I mean, my personal favorite is the last one, the parrot brilliant colors across the Victorian mustache and monocle. How would you use? I mean, I'm going to be asking you guys to perform these poems orally, so I'm trying to understand how would we use our performances to emphasize certain things. So, I mean, there's already different aspects of the poem that we're talking about. We had the tone, right, whether it's like a vengeful or whether it's more like sarcastic, more playful. We have the shifts in tone that happen. We have the very like motion-oriented lines here. How would you emphasize some of these things in your performance? Let's say if you're performing this poem, how would you emphasize it?
Well,
Yeah. So
if you want to emphasize one, you could say it louder or in a different way, or more than one person can say it.
right, so more than one person can say it. You can speak it louder, shout it almost, and then, okay.
On the Spanish term, you can use the accent basically, like Puerto Rico or like when you sing Hernandez, and then you can
Yeah, very like patriotic.
yeah, you sound like kind of like proud.
Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah, I actually read this poem in a class in college, and we had to pick a poem to read aloud, to memorize and read aloud. And I picked this poem, and I read it. When I read it aloud, I don't think I took a single breath when I was reading, because you couldn't even see it. I just like, I don't even know how I was still reading at the end of it, but I was so nervous, and I just like read it straight through. And the one word that I missed, like that I forgot to say, was naked in the second stanza. And my professor wrote me a letter, like, he would grade us, and he said, like, oh, by the way, the only word you missed was naked, but we'll keep that between us. I'm like, oh, I'm so nervous. But I do not want you guys to read it that way. Definitely be very open to these lines and feel how they feel and how you're going to use those feelings to perform it, right? And how you're going to use your bodies, your voices to mark how you interpret this poem, right? I have, I hope, on everybody's page of Holy, there's a number on the top. You either have 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. And depending on what number you have, we're going to make groups. So can I have all the ones here? Twos here. 4, 5. Thank you so much.
Sorry, Breeze, I'm coming. Sorry.
All right. Group 1, you guys are going to be doing
What's
Holy.
up, Breeze?
Group 2, you're going to be doing 2 and 3, you're going to be doing This Be the Verse. And group 4 and 5, you guys are going to be doing We Real Cool. And again, as you're reading these, I think all of them have to do with youth, right? And youth and adolescents especially. So you can think about how does this poem discuss youth and use that as a guide in your performances. But really, I want to see how you guys interpret the poem and what you're going to use your group to perform that, okay? I didn't realize I was so cute here. That was a mistake. Does someone from here want to go to that group? Or that group? I mean, both of them are really cool. Just so, yeah, thank you. And someone in the other group, do one of you guys want to move over to that group over there?
What?
So,
What did I do?
we're going to be doing a choral reading. Was that unclear? Should I?
did.
Okay. Just in case it wasn't clear, what we're doing is choral readings of the poem. So choral reading is when everybody comes together and chooses how they're going to present the poem using different voices, you can incorporate motion into it. You can incorporate whether or not lines are read all together or singularly. You can really just have a ball, right? So however you feel would be the appropriate way to read it, using every single member of your group, that's how we're going to be performing, okay? Any questions? Okay, yeah. Sorry about that. I don't know. I didn't realize I didn't.
Oh my god, I literally stayed up till like 2 a.m. watching Sports Center because I could not turn on my television.
They fuck you up your mom and dad. They do not mean to, but they do. Fill you with the faults they have and add some extra just for you. Like they were fucked up in their turn. Like fools style. Who half the time were soppy stern and half at one another's throats. And hands on.
Can we add more persons?
Get out of here. You can and don't have to be kids.
I know this one has persistence, say them. I mean, I'll definitely say them because it's part of the but as long as you guys are
How do you think we should
Yeah.
let's say I'm the solo. Basically,
Like separate it by lines or stuff. So like it seems like its anchor should just pop up.
But does anybody have any problem saying that would be a because I don't mind saying
There are so we can each read three.
We could,
Like individually, unless you guys don't want to read it. Right.
and like, just like,
But it might, and I think it would be interesting because this is three stanzas of short. And so if we did 4 sets of 3 lines.
who wants to
I knew it. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay, so then 3 and then 1 for the whole thing. I'm fine with that
I think what I'm saying, like who's the 6 or 7 minutes.
My idea was to have like 2 sets of 2 people each, and then sort of fade lines back and forth to each other.
You're drinking.
Well, right, you 2 would say, we would say,
And this is why. And
just go back and
I
forth.
was like, yeah.
Because I also supplement choralize, but I like your breakdown.
Were all 3 of us
I like
reading
splitting
this one
lines.
different?
I think we should have a scheme, so it'd be like, but they were
This last stanza
in their
is
turn,
right.
Fools and Old Style, half the time we're talking and half the
And they're
which is weird, you would have to go between one.
reading in my head one line.
Yeah.
So what if we each took 2
What is the
lines?
meter?
They fuck up your mom and dad, they may not make it, but they
What's
do
it called?
next person.
Non-pentameter.
They fill you with the faults they have, and that's an echo for you. Those person. They were fucking
What's it called?
up.
It's not
The
pentameter.
next person, what happened to them?
No.
Yeah, which is about summing up.
You know, when it's 8 syllables instead of 10,
Blended's like,
pentameter is 10, iambic pentameter is 10 syllables. See, she knows.
because that's almost reminds me
Yeah,
of
we each do one. I like that. I like that.
I always like the separation.
So, yeah, I would say you read the last one.
Unless whoever's doing the last, like whoever's not doing the first,
Two
should
lines.
do the first line and the last.
Mine?
And just roll from it. It's like Irish goats. And then it's your command. Does anyone want to do the solo? I'll do the solo.
You do.
What's her name?
So,
You need some redemption.
I've got this line.
Okay. Yeah. I'll do. I don't care. What line do you guys want to do? The third one? Okay. I'll do.
Someone said they thought it was soft.
Yeah, I do.
So just make them work. You guys are well, there's some that don't have it. Is what I mean. So look at her.
You guys stop
Some softer tones. Because I mean, saying that word, it doesn't lend itself to kind of yelling, but you're right, I think that changes. Man, hands on misery to man. If it's like a postal
Should we do,
shell,
if we want to
get out
split it
as early
right,
as you
we should
can.
probably do, but they were
Don't
fucked
have
up
any
in their
kids
turn,
yourself.
like fools
But
and style
another thing we could
If
do
we
is
wanted to do, well, actually, no, I didn't, we can do it where the commas are, not
This one
necessarily
is
where the
hard.
meanings. You weren't thinking meter, you were like, I get very into meter. Well, I only saying that because this poem specifically is literally meter, like it's, you know, it's not free verse, but it's fine. So let's practice it.
You know?
2 more minutes? Good, yeah.
And so it's like a coastal shell. Get out as early as you can. Don't have any kids yourself. Are we going to be?
I think it would be cool if, like, in terms of, like, the way we stand, if, like, we stand just like this, like, two hands in each other, so then you can give your couplet, and then you give your couplet, and then you give your couplet to me, and give your couplet to me. So let's practice in the audience. So just stop and just like we're using this one.
Who do I give mine to? All right. Ooh, that's kind of interesting because it mimics this, the content. The form becomes the content. It's talking about passing these things on. We're literally passing it on. That's a great idea. Maybe not but they do.
They fill you up with
To her. Oh, to me, back to you. Oh no, I like that. I thought I misinterpreted what you said.
Oh, I just said it wrong. I have it. I just said it wrong.
You know what,
No, but
actually, like
I think in a circle because it's like I get angry at her, and she gets angry at you, you get angry at her, and she gets back at you. So it's like what it's like this subject. It's like the parents.
One more time. Fine. Now I have to chair over the other side. Like, let me turn this hand and then I'll turn.
No, I'll just drag my chair out. If we're in a line, the last person has to like pull up all the way to head over. Do you see it?
Team 1 is.
If we start out facing each other, we're just
Let's all turn our chairs back round.
You're the last person.
No, she
4,
Oh, it's 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3, 4.
2. We're good? Okay. 1. Yeah, just because
We're just switching.
All right, group 1, stand your bully.
1, 2, 3,
So we can do it in a straight line? Or
If we pull a chair and you stay and we all stay.
Two people on that one.
All right. As soon as everyone's quiet, you guys
Just face it.
begin.
We made this a play, y'all. Oh, okay, this is Bully by Martin Espada.
In the school auditorium, the Theodore Roosevelt statue is nostalgic. For the Spanish-American War, each fist lonely for a saber or the reins of anguish-eyed horses, or a podium to clatter with speeches, glorying in the malaria of conquest.
But now, the Roosevelt School is pronounced Hernandez. Puerto Rico has invaded Roosevelt with his army of Spanish singing children. In the hallways, brown children devouring the stockhouse of the cafeteria, children painting Taino ancestors that leap naked across the murals. Roosevelt is surrounded by all faces. He ever shoved in eugenic spite and cursed as mongrels, skin of one race, hair and cheekbones of another.
Once Marines tramped from the newsreel of his imagination. Now children plot to spray graffiti in paired brilliant colors across the Victorian mustache and mop.
Let's just say, seated up there, what did you see in this presentation? Like, what were some things that stood out to you?
ironic humor.
Ironic humor, okay. Yeah, right, the dancing was like, it was good, but it was a little, there was like a tinge of irony too, yeah. Anyone else?
Well, 3 speakers and 1 mover.
3 speakers, 1 mover, and you guys you were sitting, how did that seating arrangement happen?
We asked the people what they thought.
Well, I mean, I think it was kind of cool because they were telling the story, but I was being the story, kind of a thing. So, I mean, I think if they would have stood up, it kind of would have distracted a little bit of the movement. So it was kind of like trying to give visuals. So, like, they would tell the story, I was just acting.
Initially, we thought about having the 3 of us just stand here and then Isla would have performed, but I really liked Eric's idea of having the 3 of us sit in this formation because it felt a lot more intimate. Like the way that we divided the poem, it was kind of like a conversation. And it was almost like all those words are kind of enveloping her space.
Campfire.
Yes.
Yeah, it's almost like they created an auditorium for her performance.
Yeah, very good, yeah.
I felt like it really added a lot to the poem. Like it was already, you know, a pretty powerful poem, but sometimes people add, you know, movement or whatever and it detracts. I really felt like this added to the story, and I really liked that sort of like from section to section in the poem and from era to era, the narrator moved on along with the words.
Great, yeah, I think that was good. And I think good use of space and props up there. Okay, I would love to spend more, but I think we're running out of time, so let's have the next.
And then in the last line, as each person says their line, they're going to stand up. Yeah. Well, you can narrow it on one to the side. You say your words. Yeah.
I don't get my line on. So sit
This be the verse by Philip Larkin.
They fuck you up, your mom and dad. They may not mean to, but they do.
They fill you with the faults they had and add some extra just for you.
But they were fucked up in their turn by fools in their old style hats and coats.
Who half the time were soppy stern and half the time at one another's throats.
Man hands on misery to man.
It deepens like a coastal shelf.
Get
out as early as you can. And don't have any kids yourself.
Okay, what did you guys see there? I don't know, group 4 and 5, had you read the poem before you saw it? Okay, what did you see there? Yeah.
I thought, I don't know your name, but I thought you were really angry. Which in this case, I guess is good.
Yeah.
It caught me off guard. I thought it was great.
I don't know how to take that mark.
What did you guys think of the passing around the lines? I mean, they did something similar to this, and then they all regrouped. How did that work for you? Yeah, the conflict of the poem. I like that. I like how you connect it back to the meaning, because it's really about this very angry way of looking at things, and it's almost as if we're like trapped in that situation, right? There's no way to avoid passing on your fucked up nature to your sons and daughters, but yeah, we can't stop having kids, because that would mean the human race is gone, right? So yeah, I think that was great. We can discuss it a little more after group 3 goes.
Sorry, class. I did not expect that, my friend. No, it's good. Yeah. So if I come fire,
Lessons are really intense.
Huh?
Okay. This Be the Verse by Philip Larkin.
They fuck you up.
Your mom and dad.
They may not mean to.
But they do.
They fill you with
the faults you had.
and add some extra.
Just for you.
But they were fucked up
In their turn.
by fools in old style
Hats and coats.
who had half time
Were soppy stern.
and half at one.
Another's throats. Man hands on misery to man.
It deepens like a coastal shelf.
Get out as early as you can.
And don't have any kids yourself.
How is this one different from your interpretation?
They put music to it.
They put music to it.
So it's like that. I just lost the word. Mono something rhythm that just you can't get out of it. It's always-
Yeah. They really emphasize the rhymes and the rhythm of the poem. What else did everyone see?
It was less angrier than the group before.
Yeah.
It made it seem like this was okay. Not normal, but
Yeah.
It felt more like preaching in a way. Preaching thoughts that were in here.
Right.
Rather than conveying the anger that was behind it.
Yeah. I mean, you have, the title is This Be the Verse. It's almost like a command, right? This is what happens. But you can take that in the angry way, as the first group did, or you can do it in kind of like a very melodic way.
I like that I was able to still, even though it wasn't like screaming in as much intensity as it was in this one, I still saw imagery. I don't know, I think the song added to seeing imagery, because you know when you hear a song you always think of, you know, the imagery. I don't know what it is about a beat and words. It just, all of a sudden you just see stuff in your head, but hearing the snaps made me like think of a song, and then it made me think of imagery. Like they, and I mean, as soon as they said they, I was reading it, I was like, oh, my parents, like I saw my parents, it was like, it was just going, you know? So
Yeah.
I kind of thought that it was cool that I was still able to get the same effect, even though it was delivered differently both ways. from
Yeah.
both groups.
You know, I read someone said that this poem's kind of like almost like a nursery rhyme, like a perverse nursery rhyme. Yeah.
In terms of theatrical style, ours was a little more the method, the actor studio, Marlon Brando, and theirs was more a Bertolt Brecht alienation. Putting, you know, Mac the Knife, the music.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, guys, great job. Let me have 4 up. Yes.
We can go. The pool players.
7 at the Golden Shovel. We real cool. We left school. We love late. We strive straight. We sing sin. We thin gin.
We just shoot. We die soon.
All right, same question. What did you guys see in this performance? Yeah.
I like the connections in we, how it flowed into the next sentence as a following person read it. It really connected. It didn't seem like there was a period there, just.
Yeah.
I like the popcorn almost. So it's like it flowed, but then I didn't know where it was going to pop up next.
I like that as well.
Yeah, I did that sentence as well. And did you guys do it on purpose that the last stanza was more quiet, I think? Or, I mean, everyone was speaking, but it was almost like a whisper. No?
Yes.
I like that. Okay, yeah, we can talk a little bit more about it after There he is, right?
The pool players, 7 at the Golden Shovel.
We.
Real cool.
We left school. Oh yeah, left school.
We. Lurk late.
We strike straight. We sing. No, that's
Number one.
Sing.
We thin gin.
We. Jazz June.
We die soon.
I think it's great that both groups picked up on the we, because if you ever hear Gwendolyn Brooks read it, she also really emphasizes the we. And in fact, she reads it like, we real cool, we left school, we work late, we, like she stops where the line stops, which isn't like our impulse, I think. But I think you guys emphasize the we in different ways, right? And how does that we figure into the poem, into the meaning of the poem? Right, it's a collective, it's 7 pool players, I think. So, and what happens to these pool players? They die, right? But how is their lifestyle? Like, it seems very like, that we at the end emphasizes like,
I don't know, I sort of felt like it started out with we, but then there's no we at the end, so it's like you die alone.
yeah. I think that's definitely a way to interpret it.
That was deep.
Yeah, it's definitely like a dying we. That verse kind of like picks up, and then after every line, it always emphasizes the ending, right? The end of the line. But great job, everybody. And I guess for homework, we can, I would ask everyone to write a paragraph, which performance they liked the best, and how it connects to the meaning of the poem. So pick whichever one of these 5 groups you like the best, it could be your own, and talk about how their performance worked into the meaning of the poem. Okay?